What is going on, everybody? It is What the F Happened, and holy crap, do we have a show for you. All of you are watching our weekly show called What the F Happened, and where we're going to get into the week in review of the markets. We're going to rant, we're going to rave, and we're probably going to argue with some people because, hey, that's the whole point of What the F Happened. So thanks for joining us. We got one hell of a show for you. This is What the F Happened. Thanks for joining us, a weekly review. And today we're going to start this one off with homeowners. Or actually, let's talk about landlords. Let's talk about eviction moratoriums. How many of you in the audience watching right now are a homeowner or a landlord or own 1, 2, maybe 100 different rental units? Like, how many of you have rentals out there? Let me see it. You know what? The government doesn't want your tenants to pay you freaking rent. How do you feel about that? Do you just go to your bank? Do you go to the utility companies? Do you go to the maintenance people and say, hey, listen, I can't pay you because the tenants aren't paying me. And hey, there's a moratorium. So, if the tenant can't pay me, why should I pay my mortgage? Why should I pay my utility? Why should I pay for anything for that matter? But that's not how it works. If you are a landowner or a landlord, let's put it that way. Here's the thing. Like, we got this whole mindset, that's all effed up. Everybody thinks that all landlords are rich and wealthy and scumbags. Now, is there some big landlords that are probably scumbags? Yeah, we all know them. But the majority, literally over 90% of the landlords out there are mom and pops. Just like all of you watching right now. Maybe they had a duplex that they moved into when they first bought their house. And then when they bought a new house, they kept the duplex and rented it out. So are those the people we want to punish? Are those the people we want to really harm? Now, I understand there's two sides to this, and we're going to really get into this, but I want you guys commenting on this. There's two sides to this. Should there be some kind of relief for for tenants that can't pay the rent during this? Yes. But you know what? COVID started over a year ago. Now, we're kind of past that. There's tons of people out there hiring. Why are people not getting jobs? Is it because the government's just sending checks out so nobody should work and doesn't want to work anymore? Or is it really that there isn't jobs out there for people? I don't know that answer, but I definitely can say it's a mix of both. So right now, the moratoriums, in my opinion, need to end. Because you can't keep kicking this can. You're creating a bigger and bigger problem in a bigger and bigger bubble. Steven, what's your take on this whole thing?
Listen, I've worked with mom and pa landlords for the last 14 years of my life. And I can tell you, these are people that are just trying to improve their family's financial future and buy assets that are going to cash flow for them into the future. They're making maybe a couple $100 a month on some of these houses. I know a lot of people that bought homes that are making zero or negative cash flow and just looking for that long-term appreciation. I mean, this is a strategy that's been happening, and it's just looking from the outside in, like, why is this happening? We have the CDC, who is a bunch of bureaucrats that were not elected, that are making these rules that the rest of us have to follow. I mean, think about this. They said in their latest one that they came out with yesterday, their latest ruling, that you can be fined $100,000 in a year in jail, or if somebody dies, $250,000 in a year in jail if you evict somebody right now during this moratorium. Gave this power. I'll tell you who not, the Supreme Court and the Constitution of the United States, because the Supreme Court said last week that this is not allowed, and Biden and the CDC issued it yesterday anyways. So why is the question? Why is that happening? There's $43 billion in relief funds that are sitting there, and less than $3 billion of them have been given out. Why? Is it because they want the landlords to fail? Is it because they want the big banks to be able to go in and buy these houses up? People like BlackRock that keeps coming in and scooping and buying everything, and everything goes to corporate owned? Or what is happening right now in this country?
Yeah. So, being a landlord, I see two sides to this. And I've talked to my tenants when COVID started. We called every single one of our tenants and we said, are you okay? Do you still have a job? Do you need any help? And many of our tenants said, yes, thank you for calling, and said, what are you thinking? I said, well, what if we reduce your rent a few $100 during this period of difficulty until things get situated? We did that. And we didn't ask those tenants for anything, which gave us great credibility with them. And most of them paid, not all. We had some that, and not the first leg. The funny thing was, the first leg of COVID, the worst leg, when everything was completely shut down, people were paying rent. We were working with them. And I know a lot of landlords were working with their tenants. But then as the moratoriums kept getting kicked and pushed, tenants started to figure it out. And I had a whole handful of them, because I have a lot of rentals. I had a whole handful of them decide, hey, I'm not going to pay rent, even though I have the money. Even though the tenant had the money, they still had a job. They could have paid rent, but why pay rent when the government says they can't evict me? And I had major issues. I went through the court systems. I had squatters. Get a load of this, folks. I want your opinion on this. And then Brad and Nick, I want you to comment on this one. So I bought a property through the foreclosure process right before COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, we kind of couldn't do much over there because everything was closed down. A squatter decided to get into our house and make shop. They set up a house inside of our house. So then we took it to courts. The courts wouldn't hear it. We could not evict a squatter. So if you folks had a rental that you bought and then somebody just randomly moved in during COVID, they don't have a lease with you. You don't know them. They're running drugs out of your house. Should you be able to evict them? Nick and Brad, what are your takes on this?
I would have to say absolutely. I'm totally for you. We have some 40,000 real estate investors as clients. And I can tell you that you're exactly right. Both you and your brother, most of these guys, they're making a couple $100. They got a $1,500 mortgage. They're renting it out for $1,700, and they're hoping already like hell that the water, that the water pump doesn't go out, or the AC unit or something that's going to have them to have to take all their profits and re-amortize it back into the property. And they made Nuka for the year. But you got the government picking the winners and losers. And here's the problem. What the heck do we have the laws in the courts for? Why do we have a Supreme Court go make a decision if people are just going to say, oh, I'm just not going to listen to it? And then there's no accountability. There's no repercussions for people that don't follow the law. It's just, it's almost like we went from this whole era of a time period where the worst things going on were tweets, people making fun of somebody's tweets, to now almost everything is in chaos. It's like everything is in chaos. And I just don't get it. I don't know if anybody else feels that as well, but it just seems like whether you're on one side of the country or the other, whether it's violence or borders or shots or taxes or whatever, everything just seems chaotic. And just the country doesn't function well when there's no sense of order and peace.
I agree with that. And let's go to the audience here real quick. We have Michael just came in from Instagram. Michael said, the problem is we haven't faced a modern issue like this before. Very true. The structure behind COVID regulations is still in its infancy, and they're making it up as they go, and hopefully for the best. Well, Michael, I would hope so, but some of these decisions they're making aren't for the best. They're for the best for one side, not the other. It's not, the best. It's not a win-win situation. I was brought up to believe that if you're going to do something, it should be a win-win and sometimes a win-win-win, right? It should benefit all parties or help, all parties or somehow give that relief. Like the way I see this is, they're really targeting landlords, because somehow we've taken the landlords and made them all evil people that just want to screw you and, make it so that you have to pay rent. And well, I didn't know we could all live for free. What the F, man? If I can live for free, then why am I making a mortgage payment? Like if other people don't have to pay rent, why do we have to pay mortgages? How does this impact the overall markets? Well, let me give you a little bit of insight. This is the bombshell that I see. So why is it that they keep kicking moratoriums? We can bitch and moan about it. We can rant and rave about it. We can even argue about these moratoriums, whether it's good or bad. But really, let's think about what's going on. Who's in line to benefit from all of this when this whole bubble blows up? How about the banks? How about Wall Street?
Property grab.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a money grab again. It is. 08 2.0. That's what's going on.
And here's the thing, though. It's going to be different than 08, because in 08, the average investor had the ability to go in and buy the properties and actually profit from buying these properties, turning them over, making nice, neighborhoods. Neighborhoods completely redeveloped, during that time. And they're happening again. But who's going to get all these houses when this whole thing implodes, when these moratoriums end, when everybody actually has to start paying their bills again and they don't have all this relief package that bails them out of everything? Who do you think?
I can tell you who's not going to benefit: the middle class.
No, that's exactly where I'm getting at. So if you follow the news, folks, or you just look, it doesn't take much to see what's going on. BlackRock, Blackstone, giant funds, giant hedge funds, if you will, in some capacity. They are swooping in and buying entire neighborhoods. $120 trillion. I want you all to fathom the size of that amount of money. $120 trillion of federally backed funds that these institutions have to go buy your neighborhood, to buy your house, to buy everybody else's house. If you think of the middle class is the effing backbone of this country. It's what makes the United States, not the wealthy, not the poor. It's the middle class. They're the ones actually paying the taxes. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting. Okay. So if you eliminate the middle class, you now have the same thing other countries. Well, if you guys want to live in Russia or China, be my guest, get the F out. Why are you still here? Because the middle class is what makes this country great, and that's also the middle class that makes the United States the land of opportunity. By all intents and purposes, like, what is the biggest asset of the middle class? Their home. Their home is the biggest asset they have. But if giant funds are buying up all the homes, driving the price of the average house up, like you're seeing, I think, what was the last one? The average median home price is like $300 and some thousand. That's priced out for a lot of people. So that forces them to rent. And who's going to be the person they're renting from? It's not going to be me. It's not going to be Steven. It's not going to be any of you. It's going to be the funds. That's who it's going to be. There is going to be no more home ownership eventually if we just let this shit keep happening. That's the problem, folks. We are literally giving up all control. And if you think that BlackRock and Blackstone aren't in cahoots with the government and with Wall Street, you're blind. You're obviously watching the news too much because you think that everybody out there is there to help you. If you got your hand out waiting for handouts, you're going to be the one paying for all this, and it's not going to feel good. So anyway, I'm sure we got some pretty pissed off people after that little rant there. But Steven and Nick, and what do you gentlemen have to say about this?
No, I mean, Brad, I defer to Brad, but I'm totally. You're Paco and the kettle black, so to speak, but speaking truth to fact. I mean, this is a power grab. I mean, everything is it. I mean, wouldn't you have to agree? I mean, that more symbolism than anything, but I think there's so many just different symbolisms of power grabs going on right now.
Absolutely. So. It's insane. We had a bunch of
people.
Yeah,
Green said power. Yeah. Anytime anybody's power. You look at anytime anything's happening or anybody's doing something, and you have to ask yourself why. I mean, I don't think there's enough people asking why. Why is this going on? Why is it being allowed to go on? So,
I agree. And it's incredibly controversial too in a lot of this stuff. Let's move on to the next topic because I really want to hit this one. Steven, can you lead the way with the $1 billion COVID booster discussion?
Yeah, I mean, these pharmaceutical companies, in the past have been the demons, right? So they come out with this miracle COVID vaccine, it's going to save us all, even though now it's not saving us all, or it is, or I don't know. It goes back and forth. We won't talk about that. But the is they are making a lot of money right now, right?
Well, tell them how much. It's right here in this article. How much are they making right here?
So 34 billion this year alone, 34 billion with Pfizer. I don't know what Moderna's numbers are. I believe Moderna never made any money before the COVID vaccine, and now they're making tens and tens of billions of dollars. And now they're coming out with boosters are going to be required. So when do we got to get boosters now? Is it every 6 months? Is it every 12 months? Is it just something we're going to do on a monthly basis? I mean, they have a lock on the market. And why are there no COVID advertisements out there on commercials? I mean, I watch the Olympics and I see advertisements to actually, I don't even know what half these drugs do. They tell you it's going to make you happy, or it's going to make you skinny, or it's going to save your kidneys, or it's going to kill your kidneys, or I don't know. There's a million side effects. So why isn't it being advertised? Why do we have all these celebrities out there telling us to take it and not the actual drug? I mean, when do we start trusting these guys? It just, there's so many questions out there. And I pray that it's all real and that this is the miracle that's going to save us from COVID and that vaccines are going to be the thing. But it's just follow the money. Boils down to that a lot of the time. We'll see what happens.
And the other thing too, that I want to make a comment, and this is history will prove this. And, if you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Second Chance, the millionaire that has their money in a bank or has their money on paper is going to be the next broke person. So people might be millionaires or multimillionaires now. And then when the next big crash happens, the next, whatever it's going to be, the next Great Depression, another 2008 lookalike, another .com crash lookalike, or a blend of all three, The people that just keep pushing without any thought or protection on the downside, they're going to be the next broke people. So I love that, you know, people are making a lot of money and doing well in the markets and becoming millionaires. Awesome. I mean, I am the biggest proponent for somebody that is going from the bottom into the top. Like, I love it. But please understand, it's not about making money. It's about actually keeping it. It's about your money working for you. It's about you having control of your money. Nothing else really matters if you're not in control of your money. So take whatever that is to you and your situation and take action on that. Figure out how to get control of your money. Figure out how to protect the downside. Figure out how to not just make money, but to keep the money you have. Because our society has not taught us how to keep money. It teaches us how to work for money, trade hours for dollars for money, go out there and spend all that money on these fancy cars. My God, if I see another effing Lamborghini on Instagram and TikTok, I'm honestly going to literally start burning Lamborghinis, because like, they're nice cars, but for crying out loud, like, isn't there other cool cars than Lamborghinis? Let's go into the next one. This is funny. We're going to talk about flight attendants. This is absolutely hilarious. And I don't know how many of you fly right now, but you realize that flight attendants are training in self-defense amid the spike in unruly passengers. So obviously there's some unruly passengers out there that are going to get their asses beat by the flight attendants. Because, man, you see that ad right there? CNN Travel, they're getting ready for you. Judo, taekwondo, jujitsu, man, they're going to put you in a freaking scissor lock, and you're not going to be bitching or moaning about not wearing that mask on the plane anymore. What do you guys think about this? I think flight attendants should get trained and kick some ass and put some people in line.
I've flown over 1 million miles, and I got to say, there's been a couple of times I've been in first class drinking a little too much on a cross-country flight from LA to Atlanta, and I probably got a little unruly, where if one of these flight attendants was around, I might have got a little jab in the face. But now knowing this stuff, I'm probably going to take it easy these days.
Yeah, maybe just
I was
drink
going to
one
say,
water.
a lot of the reasons why they're doing this, the passengers are unruly, is because of all the mandates to wear the mask the whole time that nobody really wants to do on the plane, and how frustrating that is. As well as, I know American Airlines, I think it was, who've been recently canceling all their flights because they're not able to fill some of those positions, which, you know, flying sometimes can be stressful anyway. When you throw all these other variables at it, that creates unruly passengers.
My comment about the airline people is you should have learned how to handle a weapon, and you should learn Kung Fu or Tai Chi or any of the other martial arts out there anyways, because you're responsible for a couple hundred people. Why wouldn't you learn what to look for? I mean, it just makes it makes it a safer flight, is to have your people. They should already know CPR, right? Why not? They know how to defend themselves in their plane. They know what happens in an emergency. They should learn how to defend themselves.
So in final closing here, let's just do final comments. So, you know, we had two guests, and, you know, it was super fun, Brad and Nick. So gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. And I got the name, someone started calling me the America's #1 money mentor, but you know what? I am a perpetual student. I am always learning. I do not know everything. Every day I learn something new from all of you and from people like these gentlemen that know more than I do. So keep an open mind. Don't think you know everything, and understand that even some of the smartest people out there in any category, they are always learning something. And it's the second you stop learning, the second you think you know it all, you have hit what's called the arrival syndrome. And welcome, because the only place you're going is back down to the bottom until you realize that top, that arrival syndrome, never actually should exist in your life. You got to constantly keep being a student and learning. So with that being said, folks, have a good day. Steven, anything you want to say in closing?
No, always a fun time. What the F happened? Can't wait for next week.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.